Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. We're doing a series of talks called The Sex Lover. This is the fifth in that series. We've been talking about the love culture and what was going on there because we want to know, because that is what we were meant to be. And if we do not rediscover that and put it back into practice, restore it, we're going to be in deep trouble. We may not even survive. We may end up in a fireball, or we may end up in one big prison. So it's vitally important that we get the story straight. We left off at what they were doing in the love culture in their sexual practices. Now, this happened routinely. It was ritualized, made sacred, sacramental, because it reflected back on them of who they were, where they came from, where they're going, and what they're supposed to do. Today we have ceremonies like that too, except they're about money. Usually, go to the bank, check how your stocks are doing, or go to the mall, do some shopping. Sit down in front of the television, get the latest news. That kind of stuff. Or go to the show together. That is entirely different than what we were designed to do. We were designed to be lovers, not consumers, or lusters or looters. We were designed to be lovers. And then we see the picture of that in the love culture, by using the scientific evidence that we have and following our intuition. The people then were having sex together. There was not this coupling up relationship we have today, which is kind of like a nuclear situation. You clamp onto one other partner, and then sometimes it's fission and fusion, right? You fuse together, and then you fission, you break apart. And you have heartache and loss and anger and so on and so forth. It's the marriage system, the church-state sanctioned marriage, or common law marriage, or the relationship system as we know it today. We are so deficient in love that we need to latch on to get at least one other person to make ourselves feel complete. And then the other person is doing the same thing. They're going to make, so it's an unworkable situation, really. It works sometimes, but that's the exception to prove the rule. Sometimes very mature people can do it. They can spend a lifetime together with one partner, called monogamy, and make it work, more or less. But it was not designed that way. This is a rebellion against the love culture, and in its place, the patriarchy divides and conquers. It divides people up into small units so they can be controlled, into couples, for example, or single individuals. So today, as far as sex goes, most of the time, mostly, we're divided up into couples or singles. And then sometimes people get together in groups, but usually it's for partying, or swinging, or just letting off energy, or having fun, or, you know, it's not the same. It's not part of the culture, because there's no culture left. There's no real groups left. I don't know of them anyway. Maybe there are. I don't know. Of people who know what sex is all about, and what love is all about. And it's basically about community. And this is brought out by some of the cards here. There's a card I'm looking up right now. You can't see it, but I can. It's called the Three of Cups. It shows three women dancing in a garden, a harvest scene, and they're holding up, each one holding up a cup. That's why they call it the Three of Cups. This is the prototype of a community of lovers. It's woman-centered. The woman was the center of the culture. She governed the culture naturally, not with a power over system, but with a natural governance system. It's just because she had the power. And men respected that and defended it and enhanced it. Men enhanced the woman's pleasure. The woman, first of all, was able to pleasure herself based on the story of the lover doing that, and then she could also interact with another woman. There's nothing wrong with couples, but it wasn't the purpose of the sex was not to enhance couples out of a lack or out of a need. But the three women dancing is the basis of a community. It takes three to make a community, at least three. A couple's not a community. A single person is not a community. But a threesome is. They say three is a crowd. Well, that would be the negative take on it. But three is a community. And the original community was community of women-centered. So at least three women held the community together, bonded the community together. And as I've said before, the three stages of a woman's life was maiden, mother, and then matron as she grew older. Again, we have three women as the core of the culture. Loving each other in all ways, including sexually, and managing and governing the sexual rights. Where did the men fit in? They were like the outside of the circle, the defenders, the protectors when that it was necessary, and the enhancers of pleasure. They could give a woman a special pleasure because of the way they were built. The penis can pleasure the vagina, and men have characteristics that are very pleasurable in themselves. A man is different. That in itself is a pleasurable thing. Viva la difference! Long live the difference! Sexuality means difference. It's pleasurable, it's exciting, it gives variety. Variety is the spice of life. And men provided that. But the core of it is the love circle, which involved at least three women, and maybe more. Could be 10, 20, 30. In a small community of people that all knew each other. Now there's an upper limit to that. When you get to be 100 in a community, or 200, 300, it gets to be more towards, you need something else then to bond the community besides personal contact. And other things, mechanisms then come into play with the development of the great civilizations. Starting with the cities. People no longer had personal contact with everybody else, so they had to have some kind of a medium of exchange. And that was often money, or writing, or just plain old power. A police had to be instituted to make people behave, then armies, and then wars, on and on and on. Because you got away from this mutual sharing of sex in a community of people that knew each other. And that was a safeguard. It was safe sex because everybody knew everybody else, so the whole community would make sure that the sex was safe and it was healthy. And there were built-in safeguards to a natural environment like that, like birth control. It was natural. It was built in. A young maiden, like this maiden here, has anovulatory years. It means when she first becomes sexually active, she's not ovulating yet, but she's sexually active. She can have all the sex she wants and she doesn't get pregnant until her ovaries kick in, and then she may get pregnant. Then if she gets pregnant and she starts nursing, that's another natural birth control method. And then comes menopause, becomes a matron, and then they can have all the sex they want without fear of pregnancy. So the pregnancies were naturally regulated. An interesting side effect, we're talking about the clitoris, which is this is the clitoral ring, clitoris. The clitoris, as time goes on from maiden to mother to matron, gets bigger and more sensitive. It gets 7 times bigger and, I don't know, much more sensitive anyway. About the sensitivity, I don't know, but it gets bigger and more sensitive as the woman gets older. So the matrons could be, have the greatest sexual capacity and experiences, and therefore, like shamanic things, in the sex rite, they would go out of their bodies into the spaces, going out and about, as the Irish would say, out and about, leaving the body, in other words, and bringing back information and experiences. This would have been enhanced by the group aspect of it. When people all work together on something, the result is magnified many, many times, exponentially. One person can do so much, two people can do a little more, three people, four, a whole group of people doing the same thing at the same time, in the same way, has a tremendous effect. That's why patriarchy, in order to rule, has to divide and conquer. It can't allow that group effect. The elites, that's a powerful force. That has to be broken up, because eventually that group will stand up against any power, any evil power that comes. The group can handle it. So the first thing that a patriarchal man has to do, the macho man I'm talking about, the people in charge of society, the people at the top of this pyramid, they have to control the masses. And they do that by storytelling, by media propaganda, and by dividing people up by laws. They divide them up into singles, couples, and then they can be controlled and manipulated. So if you have a strong love community, and the people would be bonded by love, that's the strongest force in the world. When a mother loves her child, she will kill to protect that child. But if she's just a single mother, all stressed out trying to make a living, and then always fear she's going to be raped or taken advantage of, employers taking advantage of her, she could hardly survive. As a one single mother individual, how is she going to do it? Very, very difficult. Or one couple here, same-sex couple, or doesn't matter. The couple can be manipulated, but the whole group, it's more difficult because they got strength and they got power from just the fact that they're operating together on the same page. And then in the love culture, the small group was like from 30 to 60, maybe 100, at least 3 to 300, let's say. These groups weren't isolated. There were groups all over the place that always interacted. You went and visited your neighbor tribe, or small group. There was intermarriages between them, but the woman stayed with her. It was matrilineal. The woman stayed with her mother and her community, and the man came in and had to adapt to the new situation. Another patriarchal trick is abolishing that. Now, or in most cases, traditional cases, it's changed now with feminism and stuff, with independent women, but traditionally the woman had no choice. She had to go live with the in-laws. She had, in order to survive, or else just go out she wouldn't survive. She would die on the street, or somebody had to take her in. So she had to change her whole power base, or love base, by going with the in-laws. It's a cruel system, and it's still operating today. Very, very cruel. And this is a problem. That's why we need to get to the source of the problem to find the solution. All right, how are we doing on time? Let's bring this to a close. This has been the 5th episode. We are examining, re-experiencing, reenacting in a way, feeling what it might have been like to live in a true love culture. What was it really like to live in a love culture? Because we don't do that nowadays. We live in an anti-love culture. We live in a culture of patriarchy, which is evil-archy, pyramid style. Thank you for being with us then. This is a journey. This is a story we're telling. This is a game we're playing. And we're building a relationship and a structure as we go. May love be with you always. Love always.